Right, today I'm going to show you how to do a levitation photo, and we're going to be using Photoshop Mix. So it's the icon that looks like two circles blended together. I will be showing you how to create an image that looks something like this, where you can have an object floating in your space. The key to this assignment is making sure that you photograph all of your images in the same lighting. So that will be crucial. You don't want to photograph some outside, some indoors. You want to be in the same environment, photographing using, selfie mode on your phone, and also using the timer on your phone so you can be hands-free and you can do this all by yourself. So I'm going to show you how to create a brand new image doing a levitation photo. You can see I have a few projects that are kind of similar. I already recorded this entire video with no sound. So, hey, this is round 2. So I am going to plus, where I'm going to a new image, and I want to go ahead and find the images that I am using again for my levitation. So I have one photo right here where it is the environment that I am photographing. Now this, for your levitation, could actually be an empty room. And then you're actually going to introduce your levitating object with some sort of support. So now I'm going to my second photo. So over on the right-hand side, you see a plus sign. I want to go to image because I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to add my camera image right on top of it. So I didn't create a brand new document. I just opened up my photo and put another photo right on top of it. So now I want to highlight this layer that is the top layer of me holding the camera. And now what we're going to do is we are going to go to cutout. Within cutout at the bottom of your screen, you have a lot of options. Okay. For example, the auto option is easy if you have an obvious object. Now it is trying to select me and the camera. So auto kind of helped me out, not a bad place to start. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to smart, because smart is actually pretty smart. What I'm going to do is I am going to subtract from this, and I'm just going ahead and moving my finger around. I'm zooming in on my image. And you guessed it, I'm drawing over all the things, and it's pretty good at identifying the line. What Photoshop does here is Photoshop doesn't know that this is a camera. You can see that it just messed up there, so I'm going back here, and I'm just going to kind of move that over. What Photoshop recognizes is different values from each other. So as you kind of zoom through your image, this chord against my skin tone here is an obvious line for Photoshop to recognize. So what it is doing is it's going kind of right up to that border. Now it's not going to do a perfect job. As I go through this, boom, it just got rid of all that stuff, and I don't want that to happen. But you can see it did a pretty good job around the camera strap in different areas. I'm going to show you how to get that camera strap back. So, again, it had a hard time finding that camera strap. I can go back to add if I want to and really zoom in on the camera strap as a way to get it back. So you can see that that's working out pretty well. Photoshop is recognizing that brown color against the gray color and kind of helping us out. Looks like it just froze a little bit there on me. But then all this other stuff that it's picking up, if I go to basic, and again, I go to subtract, you can see that I can also just draw this in like you're used to with what you've done for your coloring assignment. So I can go through and kind of zoom through and clean up that. I can zoom in on this area really well to get rid of it. And that checkerboard pattern is basically telling you, that's Photoshop's way of saying to you, hey, that's transparent. That's not there anymore. So again, if I go back to my add and kind of brush this in, it's kind of helping me out. It's not as good as the smart one. I can always go back to the minus and clean that up even better. So I don't want anything but the camera or the camera strap showing up, and I can go back and do that a little bit better. All right, and now I can zoom over to the other side here, Again, zoom in closely. Get rid of that part in here. Try to get rid of that up in there. Allow time for Photoshop to think about what it has to do. And then again, I'm going ahead and erasing all the stuff that I want to get rid of. So as I come through here, get rid of that stuff. And then attempt to do my best job at adding that strap back in. And I can go back to Smart if I want, because Smart is pretty smart. Especially if you're zoomed in. If you're zoomed in a lot, like this, I mean, you can really zoom in there. So if you're really zoomed in, it's going to be a little bit more helpful for you to recognize those color differences. Also, if you have big fingers, that's where it helps as well. So I'm going to kind of zoom through here, get the rest of that brown strap in there. All right, and then I can go through and go back to my basic. Oops. Go back to the erase and go through and kind of clean this up. Oop. Go back. My fingers are not working for me today. And now I can kind of zoom, you know, a little bit wider to see what I've got here. It's looking pretty good. And now you'll see that all that work, you know, here's what happens. It's pretty magical, all right? I got a few more things to erase up here. Don't worry, as soon as I hit this check button, you're gonna be able to see what you have done. And you can see that, you know, if I zoom in, you know, there's a couple areas that are a little funky here. So I can go back, you know, click on that top layer, go back to my cutout here, and I can do a better job at, you know, cleaning that up and, you know, getting rid of the stuff that I need to be getting rid of and adding the stuff back in that I need to add back in. Up here, it needed to be cleaned up a little bit. I think you get the idea. I'm going to really zoom in here so I can get all that little stuff in between the camera strap and around up here so that it makes my levitation image look legit. All right. And so now you can see just how easy it is. I go ahead and hit plus, there it is. I can click on that layer and I could like move this into a better position if I think it needs to be moved into a better position. I could actually make the object smaller or bigger, but I want to go ahead and keep it the size that it should be. There looks like a little bit part of my image there that I should be erasing a little bit more, but I just want to kind of complete this to show you what you can do with this idea of levitation. Now, this levitation photo that I created right here looks good, works well, you know, but is this that difficult? No, it's not that difficult. It took me about 8 minutes to do this. So I would think about maybe even having more objects floating around. I could have a camera behind me floating around. I could have a camera, you know, all sorts of different areas of the image, so it looks like multiple cameras are what are floating. Remember, difficulty level is always a factor when I'm grading, so consider that when you are attempting to do your finished levitation image. Also, just so you know, I could click on that layer and I have adjustments showing up. So if I needed to make that the camera darker or lighter to blend with my image a little bit better, go for it. That is all stuff that you can do in order to make your image look blended, like it was all taken at the same time. We don't want it to look like an object was taken at one scenario of lighting, another scenario, or a different lighting, so that when you put it all together, it's going to look disjointed. All right. When you are done, you can flatten the image. That's fine. Using those little layers here, and I can click on that, and it would basically kind of shows me my layers. All right. But then I can go to save. I can go to save to my camera roll, and then that would be what you would then post to Schoology as far as your finished levitation image. Okay. So hopefully that helped, and obviously if you'll have questions, you can always ask me when we are in class.